What's up, YouTube world? It's your boy Jerome, coming to you today with the review for Married to Medicine Season 6, Episode 1, and it's titled Get Your Sexy Back. Alright, so the episode, it opens up with, it shows all the girls together, and, they're all upset with Quad because Quad is just not, telling them anything about what's going on in her life at that point with Dr. G and all that kind of stuff. And to me, I think the ladies are a little bit selfish when it comes down to this whole Quad thing, because most of their marriages, well, all of their marriages are playing out in the public. So I think that they're all a little selfish. Like, I don't get it. Like, we had Jackie's situation last year, we had Simone and Cecil, and now we have Quad and Dr. G. So, just because it's been put in the blogs doesn't mean that you have to talk about it. Like, I get that they want to be, supportive girlfriends and all that kind of stuff, but if Quad does not want to talk about it, that's Quad's prerogative, and she doesn't have to sit there and actually have a conversation with you guys about it. If she does want to have a conversation with you about it, she will. But, don't sit here and try to force her to just talk to you and, tell you what's going on in her life and her marriage. Like, I just don't understand that whole philosophy of just because we're on a reality show, we have to talk about everything, because you don't. So after we see them arguing with Quad, it moves 1 month later. And then you got all the ladies, they're at home with their husbands and all that kind of stuff. And they're talking about that article that came out after last year's reunion, where the girl that Dr. G met up in the hotel with, she was telling the events of the night, how she gave him head and all that kind of stuff. He gave her head. She said his dick was little and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what to believe when it comes down to this Dr. G stuff, because Dr. G said nothing happened. But why is this girl trying to exploit you and, all this kind of stuff? So I really don't know what to believe when it comes down to that. And then, you had Quad in her interview, and she was talking about the article. And, she was like, she believes the girl over Dr. G. And I'm just like, did the girl say something in that article that makes you think that it was what Dr. G, what she's saying is true and what Dr. G said is not true? Like, I was really confused about that, because she didn't really elaborate too much on that, but she does say she believes that girl. Okay, so we got Quad, and I can already tell this is not going to be a good season for Quad at all. It's going to be like probably the hardest season for her. So, she's at home, got this little somber scene, and it's really sad. And then, she's talking about what her idea of marriage was. And, you got Bravo showing the little flashbacks from her and Curtis 5 years ago to last year and all that kind of stuff. And she's talking about how hard it was for her to read that article. And, because she said that in the article, she does not believe that girl is lying. She actually believes the girl over Dr. G. And again, I kind of question, did the girl say something that makes her believe what that girl is saying? But, she didn't really elaborate too much on that. So right now, the only thing that's a good release for Quad is Sister Circle Live. Like, that's where she goes and she is able to, separate from her marriage and all that kind of stuff. And she's talking about how, she don't sleep in her master bedroom anymore. She actually sleeps in a guest bedroom. And, she and Dr. G, they don't have any communication with each other. They don't talk to each other, because if they do talk to each other, she fears that there will be an argument with them. And I'm just like, God, like, that's got to be horrible, to live like that. Like, you're living in your home that you share with your husband, but you're not sleeping in y'all's bedroom. You don't speak to each other. Like, it's got to be a horrible, horrible way to live, like, completely. All right, so we got Toya and Dr. Eugene. So they are going to this jump fitness class, and I'm like, what kind of shit is that? I never saw anything like that before. I know people jump rope, but I've never saw people just jump on a trampoline for exercise. But, not knocking anybody, not knocking what people do. It looked fun, but it just wouldn't be something that I would do, because I wouldn't really feel like I'm getting anything accomplished with that. So, Dr. Eugene, he's lost 40 pounds. And, Toya's also talking about how they are no longer in debt. So, like I said, they're there working out and all that kind of stuff. And then, Toya's talking about, oh, maybe we can come back and do another class. And Eugene is like, I'm not coming back. Bring one of your girlfriends and y'all have fun. So then they go sit down. And, they're talking about Quad and Dr. G. And Toya's talking about how she hasn't talked to Quad in a while, and how whenever she talks to Quad, she's talking about how she's filming with her real friends, which is the sister circle girls, and I absolutely get where Toya's coming from. Like, what does that mean, your real friends? Because Quad has known the Married to Medicine cast a lot longer than she's known her sister circle castmates. So I actually understood where Toya was coming from with that whole comment that she made. And then they Toya and Eugene, they talk about Jackie and Curtis thing that happened with them last year, how it played out, and everybody was there basically kind of supportive of Jackie when she was going through that situation with Curtis last year. And then Eugene is like, Quiet had us thinking that she was upset with Greg about not taking out the trash. And I'm like, I don't think it was just the trash that she was upset about. It was a lot of other things that Quad was upset about last year that, boiled over. So, I mean, like I said, I get the fact that Quad does not want to talk about this stuff with the girls. I get it. It's something that's, probably eating her up and bothering her so badly. So I definitely get why Quad is not wanting to talk about it. But I also get where the other girls are coming from. We your friends. We got your back. Like, if you need us, lean on us, talk to us, whatever. We here to support you. So I definitely get both sides of the spectrum. And then we have Dr. Contessa. She's getting her kids ready for school and all that kind of stuff. And last season she left her practice to be home with her kids because she was having separation anxiety from her kids and all that kind of stuff, and mommy guilt and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, she's getting the kids ready for school. Oh my God, her kids. I'm not gonna say nothing bad about the kids, but those kids are spoiled as crap. Like her little girl, like she just kept crying about. I don't know what she was crying about, because one scene when she was cooking breakfast and Dr. Contessa told her to sit down, she started crying because she didn't want to sit down. I'm like, oh, that makes me not want to have kids, because if I have to deal with that, I'm like, hell no. Like, it ain't gonna work for me. Can't deal with that. Like, if I ask you to sit down, just sit your ass down. Like, it's just that simple. But she's talking about how she didn't expect for everything to be so hard, trying to keep up with everything. And how when she nothing is never, it's a never ending job when it comes to her family, which of course when it comes to your family is never ending. And she's talking about how she does miss working full, doing her work and stuff. And she's not full time, but she is going back to work part time so that she doesn't lose a part of who she is, which is she's, and I get it, she's a mom, but she's also a physician as well. So she doesn't want to lose being a doctor and being a mother. You just got to figure out how to balance those two. Balance being a mother, balance being a wife, and balance being a doctor to your patients. It just comes with, rigorous planning and scheduling. That's all it really is. It just comes down to, it's just you have to schedule everything accordingly and make sure, nobody feels like they are feel like they're less than, pretty much. All right, then we have Dr. Simone. Cecil is at Dr. Simone's office, and he has some flowers for Dr. Simone. And last year, they were in a horrible space with each other. They were arguing, and then, at the reunion, Dr. Simone had filed for divorce. Ew. Sorry, y'all. Dr. Simone had filed for divorce last year, and thanks to their friends, they didn't file for divorce. Well, they didn't go through with the divorce. They called the divorce off at the reunion last year, and so now we are here. They're back together, and they're seeing a counselor and all that kind of stuff. And Simone is asking Cecil, what does he feel? And Cecil basically, oh, I forgot. Cecil gave Simone the flowers because he was about to give her some criticism. So like I said, they're seeing a counselor, and she asked him how he feels, and he said he's glad that they did it because it's bringing them closer together with one another and all that kind of stuff. And they are still separated, and they're still living in separate houses. Now that to me is the issue when it comes down to Simone and Cecil. The fact that they had those two homes, the East and the West home, that's where I think the biggest divide between Cecil and Simone comes in, is living separately in two different houses. Like, I never even understood it when they introduced the fact that they were living in two different homes. I get that one is closer to Simone's job, and you know, the one house is closer to the kid's school and all that kind of stuff. But it just made no sense to me. Why didn't they just find a house that was center, like a house that was close to the kid's school and close to Simone's office? So that way, you know, you don't have to break up the household. You have the two people in the same household instead of having you live separately. I really never understood that, and I knew that it wasn't gonna work out. Like, because just looking at that was just a huge mess. Like, I definitely knew that was not gonna happen. So, you know, the counselor, he wants Simone and Cecil to spend more time together in one house with each other. And, you know, Simone is talking about how she and Cecil haven't had sex in a while. And I'm like, so I was confused by it. Like, I know y'all ain't having sex because, once again, you two live in two different houses from each other. Like, get under one roof and then work on some stuff and then have sex. Because Cecil wants to have sex, but I don't know if Simone is really at that point where she wants to have sex with Cecil. Okay, and then also we get this scene where Dr. Simone is talking to one of her friends, Dr. Tiffany, who's a sex therapist. You know, she went on one of those trips with them. I think it was the trip last season. And, you know, Simone is talking about how Cecil wants to have sex, but Simone is struggling where it comes to the sexual expressions. And I'm like, Simone, you don't make faces, you don't moan, you just lay in bed and let Cecil just you know, hump on you and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's some boring ass sex. Like, give him something. Like, what the hell does Simone do in bed? Like, do she do anything just besides lay there? Like, I'm sorry, what does Simone do? Does she give head? Does she, you know, because she didn't know what head was when they were talking about the situation with Quad and Dr. G. Simone didn't know what head was, and I'm like, what do you do, Simone, in bed? Like, and Cecil is ready to have sex, but I'm like, what do you do to please him? Like, whoo. But Simone, we're talking to Dr. Tiffany. She wants to get all the girls together so that they can talk about talk about sex and all that kind of stuff. All right, so we got Dr. Jackie. Dr. Jackie is at her office, and she's meeting with one of her patients who's also a life coach. And, you know, Dr. Jackie is talking about the differences between where she and Curtis were last year versus where they are currently. You know, they are back together. They're living together. They sleep in the same bedroom. I believe they got to be having sex. I hope they're having sex. If not, whatever. And, you know, she's talking about how it's still hard for her, which I absolutely understand that. Like, to find out through the blogs that your husband was cheating on you with another woman, like, that had to, you know, do something to Jackie on the inside. So I definitely understand where Jackie's coming from, that, you know, it's still hard. And then, you know, Jackie's talking about how last year her lives started to boil over into one another. Her work life started to boil over into her, you know, her personal life, which, you know, I understood what was going on because, number one, she's a physician down there in Atlanta, and number two, all of her business was displayed in the blog. So, of course, when her patients came in, people were going to want to know, are you okay? You know, what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And even her staff wanted to know what was, you know, are you okay? What's going on and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely understood where Jackie was coming from, you know, and, you know, I definitely understand that it's got to be difficult to be on a reality show, number one. Number two, you are a physician. And so everything that you do is displayed for the public's consumption. So, you know, like I said, I understand that might have been like the worst point in Jackie's life. So I definitely understand that. Actually, Jackie and Simone, with their marriages and their, you know, their practices and all this kind of stuff, it had to be horrible to just deal with that crap outside of filming and then, you know, still have to maintain your professionalism. So I definitely get it. And, you know, Jackie's talking about how she went somewhere on a Sunday and she came back and, you know, she asked Curtis what he did. And Curtis paused by saying, and that just made Jackie doubt him and all that kind of stuff. And a life coach said that's, understandable, which it really is understandable, because to go from where Jackie went from last year with Curtis to being back in the house with him and all that kind of stuff, and then when you ask him what he did, he completely pauses. Like, that would raise a red flag in my head and be like, you can't tell me what you did. Like, was it that, bad? Do you not remember? So I get Jackie and I get where she's coming from. And then you got Dr. Heavenly. Dr. Heavenly, she's at home with Dr. Damon and her daughter, Alora. Alora has really grown up over the seasons. And, Heavenly is talking about how, she feels bad for her friends because, her friends are in such a bad space, Simone and Cecil and Quad and Dr. G. And, her and Dr. Damon, they are actually in a really good spot right now. And, she talks about, once again, Quad. And, she's talking about how she reaching out to Quad, but Quad doesn't respond. And again, she just wants to be there and support Quad in what she's going through, which, again, I definitely get all the girls. They just want to support Quad. But if Quad is not at that point where she wants to sit down and have a conversation with you guys about what's going on in her marriage, you guys have to respect that. Like I said, I get it. You guys are filming a reality show. You putting all your business out there for everybody in America to see it. So I definitely get it that you guys want her to talk to you about it. But if she, like I said, if she's not at that point and she's ready to sit there and actually have a full-blown conversation saying, my husband's a piece of shit, he fucked up, he fucked this bitch, he did all this kind of stuff. If she's not ready for that, you guys have to respect her and be like, what, Quad? I would love to talk to you about what's going on because I want to be there to support you. And if she says, I'm not at that point, and you have to be like, what, Quad? You my girl, I love you, I respect you. So if you're not ready to talk about it, we ain't got to talk about it. We can talk about, we can talk about the moon. We can talk about the sky. We can talk about a lot of other shit. We don't have to talk about your marriage. But just know that I'm here for you. And whenever you're ready to talk, I'm here to listen. I won't, put my 2 cents in there. I won't put my opinions in there. I will just listen to you openly and honestly. And that's all it really truly is that they have to do. Like I said, I get it. You want to be able to support your friend, but Quad is just not at that point where she wants to open up to you guys, and you guys have to respect that shit. So, she's talking about how she's been praying and, meditating and all that kind of stuff. And she's talking about how she doesn't want to say the wrong thing or come off in the wrong way, which I get that because things that Heavenly says and do comes off so bad and so wrong. And, she's talking about how some of the girls think that she's mean. And then, she asked Dr. Damon, does he think she's mean? And I answered that question before Dr. Damon even said no. I said, yes, Heavenly's not mean. I don't think Heavenly's a mean person. I think what it is with Heavenly is much like myself. Heavenly says the first thing that comes to her mind, and it's not always, politically correct. It's the meanest thing that you can say to somebody, but again, it's the first thing that comes to your brain. And I'm having to condition myself to, be like, don't say that, keep it to yourself. Say something different. So I think that's what it is with Heaven. She's not a mean person. She just does not think about what she's going to say before she says it. It just comes out like word vomit. So, I don't think Heaven is a mean person. But Dr. Damon does tell her that, she needs to work on the inside of Heavenly, which is true because she was talking about how she wants to sit down with a counselor and she also wants to sit down with Jewel. So, like I said, Heavenly is not a mean person. I just think that Heavenly has a horrible delivery when it comes to the things that she says to these girls. All right, so then we had this scene with Mariah, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out why is Mariah back, but she's back. So she's getting ready for Simone's leather and lace party, and actually this is the first event that they're gonna have where all the girls are together, and this is the first time that they've all saw each other. They keep saying since New York, which was last year's reunion, which I didn't know that they filmed their reunions in New York. Like the Real Housewives of Atlanta actually filmed their reunions down there in Atlanta, but the Married to Medicine cast has to fly to New York. Interesting, but whatever. But again, like I said, this is the first time that the girls have saw each other since the reunion last year. And then Dr. Aiden is asking Mariah about, Heavenly, and, Mariah is talking about how she's not worried about that. And then they showed that little flashback of last season's reunion where Heavenly, when they broke up the reunion because they were arguing so badly, And then, you know, they all went to their dressing rooms, and, you know, Heavenly went to her dressing room, but on the way to her dressing room, she stopped by Mariah's and defaced Mariah's poster. And, you know, Mariah was so upset about that last year at the reunion about her poster being defaced. So that's why she said she's just not worried about it. And this is actually going to be the first time that she saw Heavenly since the reunion. So we'll see how this is going to go. Okay, so now we are at Simone's leather and lace party that she's having. Simone and Heavenly show up together. You know, they go into the party, and, you know, they see, you know, the sex toys, the models that are there, and, you know, they pick up the little toys, and, you know, Simone's like, oh, is this Dr. Damon? And then, you know, Dr. Hammond's like, is this Cecil? Oh, when is the last time you saw it? Which I thought was funny and cute. And then, you know, Dr. Tiffany shows up, and, you know, Heavenly wants to know, you know, what are they doing? What are they going to do? And all that kind of stuff. And, you know, Dr. Tiffany is telling her what's going to happen. And then Dr. Contessa shows up, and when Dr. Contessa comes in, she greets the girls. And then Mariah comes in. She's dressed as a dominatrix Catwoman, I guess. So, you know, she sits down by Heavenly, and then, you know, her and Heavenly have a little funny moment with each other, and they joke with each other. I'm like, okay, maybe this will be a little lighthearted thing with Heavenly and Mariah. Maybe they can get along with each other. But I won't hold my breath on that one. And, you know, Jackie comes in. I don't know what Jackie had on. It looked like Jackie was getting ready to go to some kind of award show or something. I don't know what that was. I thought this was supposed to be a leather and lace party, but whatever. And, you know, they ask about Toya. Toya had to go to the ER because something happened to one of her boys. And then they ask about Quad. And, you know, Simone said she talked to Quad earlier, but Quad said she had to work and she had to do something with Sister Circle Live and all that kind of stuff. But they really think that it's because Quad doesn't want to sit down with the girls and talk about the situation with the other woman and the blogs and all that kind of stuff. And I do believe that they are telling. I believe that is what it is. That Quad just does not want to sit down with them right now and have to open up about her. Feel like she has to open up about her life. So, you know. So then they sit down with Dr. Tiffany, and, you know, Dr. Tiffany wants to see where everything is because she said Simone feels like she's lost her sexiness. And, you know, they talking about all this, you know, talking about it and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, because Simone is like, she doesn't want to have sex with Cecil because they're not in a good space with each other, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then Dr. Contessa's like, but, you know, can't you just put that stuff aside and still have sex with him? Like, it's just a booty call pretty much at that point. Even if they don't like each other, can they just have sex? And, you know, Dr. Jackie says no. But then on the other hand, you got Dr. Heavenly. She's like, yes. And then Dr. Heavenly explains to them about what angry sex is, which a lot of people do have angry sex. There's nothing wrong with that. Like Dr. Heavenly said, once you have sex with each other and you let out all the aggression, you pretty much let out all the anger and all the aggression. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with having sex with the person when you're upset with them. Like, it lets out all the frustration and anger and aggravation and all that shit. So, and I think angry sex is actually the best sex, to be honest with you. That's just my personal opinion. And, you know, Mariah is talking to Dr. Simone, telling her, you know, I know that you and Cecil love each other and everything, but at the top of the list is more physical with those two, which I get that, you know, but again, they do love each other. And then, you know, Simone talked about how she wants an emotional human being, and she's just tired of dealing with a rock and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, Dr. Contessa said, but you don't want a divorce. And she says, no, I don't want a divorce. She said the reason why she even went that route with the divorce last season was because she was in a situational hurt and all that kind of stuff. And then Dr. Tiffany's talking about, you know, when the men's sex light is on and the women's sex light is off, that she doesn't want the women to just be there, and she's not going to advocate to have sex with the man just because he wants to have sex, and they just sit there like a pillow puppet and all that kind of stuff. And then Dr. Heavenly's like, you know, she does that, which I'm not surprised that's something that Dr. Heavenly does. I can see it. If Dr. Heavenly doesn't want to have sex, but Dr. Damon wants to have sex, I'm pretty sure she's going to be like, okay, daddy, do whatever you want to do to me. And I'm just like, okay. But I mean, I get it. It works for Heavenly, but it's not going to work for Simone because Simone is built completely differently than Dr. Heavenly is. And Dr. Heavenly's talking about how she'll have sex with him, she'll cook, well, Uber Eats, she'll clean the house, do the dishes, do everything, take care of the kids and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. Dr. Heavenly comes off as a housewife, but a housewife with that, works and all that kind of stuff. And again, this just won't work for Dr. Simone, because again, Dr. Simone is just not like Dr. Heavenly. And Dr. Jackie is talking about how she understands where Dr. Simone is coming from, because when it came down to her and Curtis's marriage last season, and when they got back together, it was the forgiveness process and all that kind of stuff. It was just really hard for her, because she had some days where it was really good, but then she had some days where it was really bad. So I definitely get, I like the fact that Dr. Jackie is taking up for Simone and being like, I get why she doesn't want to have sex with him, because when it's good, but when it's bad, it's really bad. And you start thinking about all that kind of shit that went on in your marriage to get you guys to a point where you're not good with each other. So I definitely get excuse me. So I definitely get it. And she was also talking about how, she would support Simone if Simone just wants to have, sex and time with herself and take those toys and use them on herself, which ain't nothing wrong with that. So once they finish all of that and Dr. Tiffany leaves, Heavenly says that she has a gift for Mariah, and it's a poster. She wants to make amends for what she did last season at the reunion by defacing Mariah's poster board. So Mariah opens the poster, and I thought it was a good gesture for Dr. Heavenly to even give her that. But Mariah gets in her feelings, because she's like, "Oh, you got me a picture. You picked the worst picture of me. This is when I had that boot on my foot, and I was 25 pounds heavier." Okay, I get the fact that she didn't feel like she was at her ideal weight, and I get that she's talking about the boot. But Dr. Heavenly did not even have that boot in that picture, which I remember that's from that lookbook that Dr. Jackie had when they went on that trip and they tried to surprise her with it. But Mariah just wanted to make a whole lot of something out of nothing. Like, it was a good gesture, and like I said, I respect Heavenly for doing that, because I probably wouldn't have did it. Like, what the fuck? And then Mariah tells Heavenly that she doesn't accept her apology and all that kind of stuff, and to kiss her ass. And I'm like, Mariah, she was just trying to do something nice to you. I get that you don't feel like that was the best or most flattering picture, but shut the fuck up. Like, it ain't that deep or that serious. This woman was really trying to do something nice to you, and here you go with this bullshit. Like, what? I don't know why they keep bringing Mariah back. Like, I don't understand it. And then, they start arguing with one another. Heavenly, here we go again with Heavenly with the word vomit. She talks about Dr. Aiden's dick being small, and I'm like, oh my God, like, why, Heavenly? Why would you do that? And then, Mariah's talking about how she know that Dr. Damon cheated on Heavenly, and she got the receipts, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on now? Like, oh my God. So Mariah goes outside, and then Toya pulls up, and she's asking Mariah what's going on, and Mariah's telling her how she don't want to go back in there because of Heavenly. But eventually, Toya talks her into going back in there. So they go back in there, and then Toya wants to know why Heavenly did what she did. And Heavenly, like I've already explained this, so I'm not going to explain it again. And then Toya wants to know where's Quad. Simone says she's working, and then, Toya asked Contessa, did she text Quad? She said, yeah, I did text her. And she said, did she respond back to you? And Contessa's like, yeah. Now, see, here's where, and I think Contessa and Jackie both are feeling what I feel. Because Jackie said that, if it weren't for the fact that her stuff was put in the blogs last year, she would have never talked about it. And then, Contessa is basically like saying what I said. Quad doesn't want to talk about it right now. And just because you guys are on a reality show does not mean she has to tell it and all that kind of stuff. Give her time and space to want to talk about it. And, now Dr. Simone did mention a good point. She said that, they didn't even know about Dr. Jackie and Curtis's stuff until they started filming last year. But with Quad and Dr. G, they did know about it at the reunion. So I definitely get where Dr. Simone is coming from, but it does not mean that it doesn't mean that Quad still has to sit there and have a conversation with you guys about this. So, I really just did not understand. I mean, I get where they're coming from. They want to be supportive friends. Again, like I said, they want to be supportive. But you got to be supportive enough to let your friend come to you and talk to you about what she wants to talk about. You can't just force her to do it. So, once they are all talking about it, you move over to back to Quad's house. And, Quad is in her mirror. She's just pep talking herself, giving her words of encouragement and all that kind of stuff. And basically, Quad just doesn't want to deal with any negativity right now. And I definitely 100% get that. Like, it's got to be a lot having to deal with the fact that your husband may have cheated on you and this girl is in a blog talking about it. And then you have to go back to filming your show. So I definitely get where Quad is coming from. But that was Married to Medicine. Like the video. Leave your comments. Tell me how you guys feel about it. Subscribe to my channel. And I will see you later.